After I finished aircrew training in 1942, was posted to Patricia Bay, Vancouver Island, BC. 12 crews were formed, with pilots, navigators, and air gunners coming from all across Canada. We did torpedo and bombing flying training and went overseas together. The British then sent us to their torpedo training unit for 1 month of intensive training. I flew with 415 Squadron stationed at Thorney Island, East England, in Hampden torpedo aircraft, which carried a crew of 4 and an 1,800-pound torpedo. We flew low at night and dropped our torp from 60 feet inside 1,000 yards from the target. In the fall of 1943, because of high losses and aging aircraft, the squadron converted to Wellington bombers carrying 8 500-pound bombs and a crew of 7. The squadron then moved from Thorney Island to Bircham Newton, south of the Midlands. We continued attacking German convoys that were protected by flagships from the Netherlands to France. Also, German warships attacking the British convoys. With the Wellington, we bombed from 1,500 feet and occasionally, as pathfinders, dropped flares to light up targets for the bullfighters to attack with rockets and torpedoes. On the night of June the 22nd, 1944, our target was ships in the harbor of Ostend, Belgium. We took off just before midnight. There were some patchy low clouds, and we had difficulty finding the target. After 4 passes to the harbor at 2,000 feet, the pilot John Enns from Winnipeg decided to go down to 500 feet to find the ships and then climb to 1,500 feet to bomb. It was now getting near morning, and a faint glow was in the eastern sky. As we made our 5th run in, and we could be seen against this dim light. Halfway through the harbor, it seemed as all guns started firing. One shell exploded in our port motor, which controlled the landing gear and the turrets. John jettisoned the bombs when the motor seized and stopped. We threw the flares and everything movable out to lighten the load. I came out of the rear turret and opened the ammunition box to the turret that fed the 4 machine guns, and threw out 8,000 rounds of ammunition down the flare chute. As we expected a ditch in the ocean, Ross grabbed the gallon thermos of tea and got under the escape hatch, ready to take the tea into the rubber dinghy if we get out of the aircraft. He spoke with an English accent, though he was Canadian, and he never lived this down. We set course for Manston in England, known as the crash airdrome or graveyard for a wrecked aircraft 100 miles away, as it had a long runway for emergency landing. As the hydraulics were gone, John ordered the second pilot to pump the wheels down by hand on a very stiff pump, approximately 250 strokes. At about 150, he said, "I can't pump any more." John said, "Shut up and keep pumping," which he did, and the wheels finally locked down. A distress call to Manson Control Tower to light the runway brought lights on both ends, but not the middle. The tower then said to go round again. We were then at treetop level and just hanging in. The air was blue for a minute or so between the pilot and the control tower, but the lights soon went on, and we were able to do a steep turn and land straight in safely. 1 month earlier, had several direct hits on a large, heavily guarded convoy, and on March 7, 1944, dive bombed through considerable heavy flak. A formation of 30 E-boats are like small destroyers that were trying to intercept the invasion fleet going to Norway. They scattered and turned back. According to intelligence reports, 2 were severely damaged and 1 possibly sunk. For these and other successful attacks, our pilot John Enns was presented with a Distinguished Flying Cross at Buckingham Palace. The members of our 2 crews have kept in touch regularly since we started flying together 51 years ago. Only 3 of the original crews finished. 1 month later, after getting hit at Ostend, that was in July 1944, 415 Squadron was moved to number 6 Canadian Bomber Group in the Midlands, a new Canadian group that was just being formed. Our crew and 5 other crews who were experienced in low-level night flying under the radar screen were transferred to 524 RAF Squadron with the same type of targets and finished our tour of 41 trips with them in November 1944. Our crews were then split up and posted at different stations in England, Scotland, and Ireland. I was posted at Dalkey, Scotland as briefing officer with the rank of flying officer. This was a big station, 1,100 airmen, 6 squadrons, 1 British, 1 Canadian, 1 New Zealand, 1 Australian, supported by 1 Polish and 1 Norwegian squadron. This wing's main duty was to stop German shipping coming down the Norwegian coast to the Baltic Sea to supply the German armies. I remained briefing officer at Dalkey until the end of the war. Just a word about the pictures that you saw on the screen. That first picture is the torpedo crew, 4 of us, standing in front of the Hampden torpedo bomber. The one on the person on the right is Bill Broughton from Vancouver. The second one is Red Dawkins, the navigator from North Bay. Myself, Millar MacMillan from Gatineau, and J.L. Ross from Sudbury. We were the 2 wireless operator air gunners. And the second picture is the bomber crew. That's Ross on the left, John Innes, the pilot from Winnipeg, and De Pelham, the navigator from Hamilton, Ontario, and Nelson from the second pilot is from Kenora. And the front row on the left is Ralph Morrison from Edmonton, Calvert from Winnipeg, and myself.